Somewhere far beyond the crowded skylines and endless noise of modern cities, beyond the schedules, deadlines, and digital distractions, there exists a place where time begins to soften. A place where mornings are not rushed, where afternoons stretch endlessly, and where evenings feel like a quiet conversation between the sky and the sea. Welcome to Siargao, an island that doesn't try to impress you, yet somehow leaves you completely in awe. As your journey begins, the first glimpse of Siargao often comes from above. Through the small airplane window, the vast ocean appears like a sheet of deep blue glass, and then slowly, almost gently, the island reveals itself. A sea of green. Thousands upon thousands of coconut trees, stretching endlessly in every direction. Not in perfect lines, not artificially planted, but wild, natural, alive. From above, they resemble waves, frozen in time. A green ocean meeting the blue one. As the plane descends, the feeling is different from arriving anywhere else. There are no towering buildings waiting for you. No chaos of a busy airport. Just a small runway surrounded by palm trees swaying in the wind as if welcoming you in their own silent way. The air feels different the moment you step outside. Warmer, softer, slower. There's a certain calmness here, something you don't immediately understand, but you feel it. It's in the way people walk, in the way they speak, in the way nothing seems rushed. And maybe, for the first time in a long time, you slow down too. The road from the airport takes you through the heart of the island. Narrow roads lined with endless coconut palms, sunlight filtering through the leaves, creating patterns that dance on the ground as you move forward. There are no highways, no heavy traffic, just motorbikes, small vans, and occasionally someone walking barefoot on the side of the road. You begin to notice something unusual. People here smile more. Not the kind of smile you see in busy cities. Quick, polite, and gone in a second. But a real smile. Warm, present, unhurried. And it makes you wonder, when was the last time you smiled like that? As you reach General Luna, the main hub of the island, the energy shifts slightly, but never loses its calm. Small cafes, beachside huts, and wooden resorts blend perfectly into the natural surroundings. Nothing feels forced here, nothing feels out of place. Even tourism feels gentle. There are no giant hotels blocking the ocean view, no overwhelming crowds flooding every corner. Siargao has grown over the years, yes, but it has protected something rare. Its soul. You check into your stay. Maybe it's a small bamboo hut, or a beachfront villa, or a cozy eco-resort hidden among the trees. And then comes the moment. You step outside, walk towards the beach, and see the ocean for the first time. It's not just blue, it's just layers of blue. Turquoise near the shore, deep sapphire further out, and a horizon that seems to stretch forever. The sound of waves isn't loud. It's rhythmic, gentle, almost like breathing. You sit down, maybe on the sand, maybe on a wooden deck, and for the first time since you arrived, you do nothing. No phone, no rush, no plan, just the sound of the ocean and the feeling of being exactly where you're supposed to be. As the day moves forward, you begin to explore. Not in a hurry, but in curiosity. A small cafe catches your eye. Wooden chairs, open-air design. The smell of fresh coffee mixed with salty ocean air. You sit. You order something simple, and suddenly, time slows again. Conversations around you feel lighter. People laugh more. No one is checking the clock. And you begin to realize, Siargao doesn't just change your surroundings, it changes your rhythm. As evening approaches, the light begins to soften. The harsh brightness of the tropical sun transforms into something golden, something warm, something almost magical. You walk along the beach again. This time, more people are there, not crowded, just enough to feel shared. Some sit quietly, some take photos, some simply watch. No one wants to miss this. The sunset in Siargao is not just something you see, it's something you feel. The sky slowly shifts from blue to gold to orange to shades of pink and purple that seem almost unreal. The ocean reflects it all, turning into a mirror of color. And for a few moments, everything stops. No one speaks loudly. No one rushes away, because deep down, everyone knows this is what they end for. And as the sun disappears beyond the horizon, leaving behind a soft glow that fades into night, you realize something quietly, almost unexpectedly. You didn't just arrive in Siargao, you arrived in a different version of life, one that moves slower, feels deeper, and stays with you far longer than you imagined. Morning in Siargao does not begin with alarms, it begins with light. A soft golden glow slowly spills across the island, filtering through thousands of coconut palms. The air is fresh, slightly cool, carrying the distant sound of waves rolling onto the shore. There is no urgency here, no rush to begin the day. Instead, the island wakes gently, and so do you. You step outside and the world already feels alive in its own quiet way. A few motorbikes pass slowly along the narrow road. Somewhere nearby, you hear laughter. A local store opens its doors. A fisherman prepares for the sea. And then, almost like a silent call, your attention shifts toward the ocean. Because in Siargao, the ocean is not just part of the landscape, it is the heartbeat of everything. As you make your way toward the shore, the energy begins to change. The calm stillness of the morning blends into something more alive, more dynamic. In the distance, you see them. Surfers waiting, watching, moving with patience. This is Cloud9, a place known across the world, not just for its waves, but for the culture it has created. From afar, it looks almost peaceful, but as you get closer, you begin to understand the rhythm. The ocean rises, forms, and crashes with power. Surfers paddle forward, timing their movement with precision. And in a single moment, they stand, gliding across the wave as if they are part of it. There is no noise of engines, no artificial sound, just water, wind, and human instinct. Some fall, some succeed, but no one seems frustrated. Because here, surfing is not about perfection, it's about connection. You notice beginners closer to the shore, learning slowly, laughing when they fail, helping each other back up. Further out, experienced surfers move with confidence, reading the waves like a language only they understand. And standing there watching, you realize something powerful. In Siargao, the ocean teaches you patience, it teaches you timing, and most importantly, it teaches you how to let go. But Siargao is not only about surfing. As the morning unfolds, the island begins to reveal another side of itself, a quieter, deeper rhythm of everyday life. You leave the shoreline and head back into the small roads of General Luna. The sun is higher now, casting sharper shadows through the palm trees. Small cafes begin to fill. Travelers from different parts of the world sit together, some working on laptops, some journaling, others simply enjoying a slow breakfast. Smoothie bowls, fresh fruits, local coffee. Everything feels simple, yet intentional. You notice how people interact here. Strangers talk like friends. Conversations are not rushed. No one seems distracted, and it makes you wonder again. Oh, what changed? Or maybe, what disappeared? Because here, in Siargao, something is missing. The constant pressure, the need to always be somewhere else. The feeling that time is running out. Instead, time feels like it expands. As the day continues, you begin to understand that Siargao is not just a destination, it's a community. Locals move through their routines with a natural ease. Shop owners greet you like they've known you for years. Children play freely, barefoot, laughing without worry. There is a deep sense of belonging here. Not because everything is perfect, but because everything is real. You might meet a local fisherman repairing his boats and someone who has lived on this island his entire life. His stories are not dramatic, but they carry a quiet wisdom, stories of storms, of calm seas, of days when the ocean provides, and days when it doesn't. And through it all, there is acceptance, a respect for nature, a respect for life as it comes. By afternoon, the tropical heat softens slightly, and the island invites you to explore beyond the usual paths. You take a motorbike ride, slow, unplanned. The road stretches ahead, lined endlessly with coconut palms. At times, it feels like you are riding through a tunnel of green with sunlight flickering through above. There is no destination, and yet, every moment feels like one. You pass through small villages, wooden houses, quiet corners, people living simply, yet fully. And this is where Siargao reveals its hidden beauty, not in famous spots, not in crowded attractions, but in the in-between moments. A child waving as you pass, a dog sleeping under the shade of a tree, the sound of wind moving through the leaves. These are the details most people miss. But here, they become everything. As the day begins to slow again, your path naturally leads you back to the sea. The light changes once more. Shadows grow longer. The sky softens. Surfers return for one last session at Cloud 9. The waves continue their endless rhythm. And just like in the morning, people gather. Not because they have to, but because they want to. You sit quietly, watching, and this time, it feels different. Because now, you understand something you didn't before. Siargao is not just about what you see, it's about what you feel when you're here. As the sun begins its descent, the island prepares for another quiet transformation. But unlike busy cities, evenings here are not loud, they are gentle. Cafes light up with soft yellow lights. Music plays, not overwhelming, just enough to blend with the sound of the ocean. People gather again, sharing food, sharing stories. Some sit alone, but not lonely, because in Siargao, even silence feels full. And as the sky turns golden once more, you begin to notice a shift within yourself. You are no longer observing the island, you are part of it. And somewhere between the waves, the roads, and the quiet conversations, a thought begins to settle in your mind. And maybe life was never meant to be rushed. Maybe we were never meant to live disconnected from nature, from people, from ourselves. Maybe places like Siargao exist to remind us of that. By now, the familiar roads, the swaying palms, and the rhythm of the ocean have become part of your daily life. But Siargao still has more to show, places hidden beyond the obvious, beyond the usual paths. You set out early. The sun rises again, but this time it feels different. Warmer, closer, like an old friend. The journey takes you away from the coast, deeper into the island's natural soul, and then you arrive. At first, it doesn't look real. The water is too still, too clear, too perfectly green. This is Sugba Lagoon. Surrounded by dense mangroves and quiet hills, the lagoon feels untouched, as if it exists in its own world, far removed from everything else. You step onto a small wooden platform. The air is silent except for the gentle movement of water against the edges. No crowds, no noise, just a stillness. You dive in. The water wraps around you, cool, soft, almost weightless. For a moment, you float, staring up at the sky framed by trees. And in that moment, nothing else matters. No past, no future, just now. As the day continues, the island reveals yet another secret. But this one depends on time, on tides, on patience. You travel toward the coast again, waiting for the ocean to pull back, to reveal what it hides beneath. And when it does, something incredible appears. The Magpupungko Rock Pools. Crystal clear pools, naturally carved into rock by years of waves and wind. Protected from the open sea, they become calm, almost mirror-like. You step carefully across the rocks and find a quiet spot. The water is so clear, you can see every detail beneath the surface. Small fish move gently. Light reflects in patterns that dance along the bottom. It feels unreal, like something designed but untouched by human hands. You sit at the edge, your feet in the water, and watch. Time slows again, and once more, you realize Siargao is not about doing more. It's about feeling more. But perhaps the most magical part of Siargao lies just beyond it. You head toward the shore where small boats wait, ready to take you further into the ocean. The journey begins. The boat glides across turquoise water, cutting through gentle waves. The wind brushes against your face, carrying the scent of salt and freedom. And then, small islands begin to appear, tiny, isolated, perfect. Your first stop, Guyam Island. From a distance, it looks like a postcard. A single stretch of white sand, a cluster of palm trees, surrounded entirely by endless blue. No roads, no buildings, just nature. You step onto the sand, soft, warm, untouched. There is nothing to do here, and that's exactly the point. You walk slowly around the island. It takes only minutes, but every step feels meaningful. Because here, simplicity becomes luxury. You sit under a palm tree, listening to the waves, and for a while, you forget everything else. As your journey nears its end, Siargao prepares one final gift, the sunset. But this time, it feels different. Not because it looks different, but because you do. You return to the beach, the same place where you first sat, not knowing what this island would mean to you. Now you sit again. The sky begins its transformation. Gold, orange, deep crimson. The ocean reflects it all, just like before. People gather once more, but this time, you are not just watching, you are part of the moment. You think about the days that passed, the quiet mornings, the endless roads, the laughter, the stillness, the waves, and you realize something you didn't expect. You didn't just visit Siargao, you experienced a different way of living. The sun disappears, but the day doesn't end. Night in Siargao is not about noise or bright lights. It's about silence, about space, about reflection. You walk along the beach one last time. The stars above are brighter than you remember. The ocean, now darker, moves gently, like it's whispering something only you can understand. You sit down, and for a long moment, you say nothing, because there is nothing to say. Everything you needed was already here. And then, somewhere between the sound of the waves and the quiet of the night, it becomes clear. Siargao is not just a place you visit, It's a feeling you carry, a reminder that life doesn't have to be fast to be meaningful, that happiness can be simple, that peace is not something you find outside, it's something you remember when everything else fades away. So, if you ever find yourself lost in the noise of the world, remember, there is an island far away where time slows down, where the ocean speaks, and where, for a moment, you can finally just be.